Welcome to Secrets of a Bridal Seamstress podcast, where we hear stories from fellow seamstresses just like you. We're able to share their success stories. We learn from wedding industry pros for the best business tips, and we get to hear from fellow sewists and crafters to hopefully inspire our creativity and our love for sewing. I'm so glad that you're here. And if you're a bridal seamstress, I'd also like to invite you to check out our Bridal Seamstress business membership. We have a community of women that can testify to the power of genuine connection, friendship, vulnerability, the power of our six-figure seamstress method, and a genuine connection found in a business mentorship like this. All right, let's dive into the episode. Hey friends, welcome back to Secrets of a Bridal Seamstress podcast. Today I'm here with Amber from Vow to Grow. So she has a really cool story. She started off as an engineer in her first life, and then she got into the wedding business as a venue owner, and now she's a business strategist for creatives who want to work with the right clients, earn more, and finally breathe again, which I feel like speaks to so many wedding professionals. Before we hit record, Amber was telling me that she primarily works with venue owners, but today's topic is going to easily apply to us as bridal seamstresses because she wants to help us kind of break through that trust barrier that maybe we've been feeling, especially with Gen Z brides, with the rise of everything being thrown out there on social media. You can go on Reddit or TikTok and read comments, and we know there's already this kind of wall that's up sometimes. I shouldn't say with all clients, but with some of these clients that are coming in. So eventually Amber's going to help us with that. But Amber, first, I just want to welcome you to the show and have you share about what got you in the wedding industry to begin with from the life of an engineer, because those are two very different worlds.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and speak to your audience. So, yeah, my history is kind of crazy. I had an engineering career over a decade of working with big corporations about their operations and their systems, and ended up kind of being the one that was always doing everything event related and training people and rallying people to do big things. And so, when we decided that, you know what, maybe I don't want to work for corporate America forever, we came upon the idea of wedding venue, an event venue. And long story short, we bought a venue in the middle of COVID and have since gone from completely failing to now we book out over 100 weddings per year.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been able to do that with growing a team so that now I'm able to help venue owners and their businesses as well.
Okay, I love that. Okay, so when you talk about building your team, because there are some listeners who have teams and they're already running on all, is it all cylinders? Is that the phrase? You're running on all cylinders?
Yes, yes, I think
Others,
that's correct.
others are still working as like solopreneurs, and the thought of hiring out is very intimidating to them. So, can you touch a little bit on that, which I'm guessing is probably a topic that you coach your clients through? So, tell us how you would coach your clients through the process of hiring and getting over that initial fear factor.
Ooh, yes, that is such a good question because one thing that we all initially make the mistake of doing is we get really good at what we do. We start to scale, our hair's on fire, and then we go, oh my God, I need help. But we often haven't figured out what that help needs to do yet, right? When everything flowed through us, we never had to sit down and look at when this happens, this is triggered. When this happens, this is triggered. So the precursor to hiring is typically going to be figuring out exactly what you do, and how you can delegate that is to create procedures and checklists and processes and actually map out what's happening so that
Right.
then you can eventually delegate. Then, once you know what you need that person to do, then you can kind of reverse engineer it. Okay, what type of person would be good for this? And then you start to hire once you actually have a scope of work that needs to be completed. So you're absolutely right, especially for those of us who's really near and dear to our heart. It's hard to let go of a piece of it, but I like to say we're going to start with the things that don't have to be me. Like in the venue side, it's do I have to be the one scrubbing the toilets, right? And maybe it would be the same for a seamstress is do I have to be the one cleaning the shop? Do I have to be the one doing certain things in that regard? And that's a good place to start. What are those low ROI tasks? And that's what I would start with.
That's great. We recently had an episode about creating standard operating procedures for the next person to come in. So I love how you kind of circled back to that without knowing how like that is still going to be the first step is just figuring out what the heck you do at work every day to keep the business moving before you can even think about hiring somebody else. So congratulations on building a team where you can kind of take a step back and just let the show run on its own. How many staff members do you need for an event to run smoothly at your venue without being on site?
Yeah, good question. So, when we first started and we were just offering a building, I was kind of naive enough, like a lot of us are, to think that, okay, if I'm there all day and maybe I have some people helping me clean, that's totally scalable. But then I realized, of course, that now I have to do all of the business side, the tours, the admin, the inquiries, the quotes, the billing, all those things. And so I quickly realized it couldn't just be me. The way we format it now depends on the services that they actually purchase from us, but typically anywhere from 5 or 6 people to a venue only rental to I may have 8 or 10 shifts if it's a more all inclusive. And we don't do food in house. So if someone were doing food, there would be a lot more.
Okay, yeah. Wow, that's so exciting. Good for you. And 100 weddings a year. You're full. You're 100% full.
Yes.
I'm really excited for the topic that we're going to dig into today because even just the past couple months, okay, this is summer 2026. I've been hearing from our Secrets of Bridal Seamstress members of how difficult this season has been in particular with I'll give you some examples from like the dress perspective. Brides are picking up their gowns, putting the dresses on and being so nitpicky about the way that specific beads are laying or like can you remove this leaf because this leaf makes me think of fall and I'm getting married in the summer. Literally, these are screenshots that I'm seeing from clients, right? And then also kind of some prickly responses to invoicing or they're getting a quote and then they're just trying to like talk the seamstress down and then they show up in their like designer shoes or with designer handbags. It's really just a matter of where they want to put their money, not necessarily if they can afford it. It's just how they're budgeting their wedding and they're not putting value in alterations. So these are just scenarios that I feel like would come up, I don't know, once a year or something. But for several women that I know, it's like this is becoming the norm. I shouldn't say the norm because that also sounds extreme, but more frequently than before, right? So the perspective that you have is how to create that transparency so there's no surprises with clients and that they know like exactly what they're getting into so there's not that like defensiveness as they come into the situation. So I just want to open the conversation up for how you want to lead it because this is such a needed topic.
You're so right. And I love the comment section. It tells you so much about how people think. And there's a lot of people teaching how to use Reddit. I'm pretty simple with it. I just read the comments. I screenshot a lot of them and I share it with my venue owners as well inside of the Elite Venue Code. But I like to use a story to tell what this looks like for a lot of us. And there was a wedding a while back, and it was a super nice couple and they had a full wedding planner, which is not super common when you're not in a higher tier market. But they had a full wedding planner who came down with an illness and couldn't be on site for the wedding.
Oh gosh.
And she asked, "Can you help? Can you guys help us? We have an in house coordination team." So I said, "Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to help." We didn't really charge. So we said, "Yes, we'll just pick up on the day of coordination." So the family had paid for a wedding planner who couldn't cover the wedding, right? Well, without saying this is exactly what we do, this is a paid service, this is how things work, they just started assuming suddenly we were everything. We were the whole shebang. So they were like, "Oh, we're just going to drop off the day before." And then they end up spending the whole day there and we have a hard time kicking them out. Then on the
Yeah.
day of, they just assumed we were decorating. And then we ended up coordinating, but they kept asking for more, more, more. They just kept pushing and pushing. And we're nice. And we did this out of the goodness of our hearts because we love our couples and we really love what we do. So we thought we're doing them a favor. Maybe we'll get like a 5-star review. Maybe we're excited about that. We just want to help out. But the entire week of the wedding, it was pushing, it was changing, it was all these things. And they never said, "Oh, yeah, we're going to pay your fees." And we were too naive to charge it, thinking we were being nice.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I think we've all been there. Okay, listeners are along because we've
Oh,
all
yes.
like this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But here's where it gets good. I was talking to the wedding planner actually, and I'd seen their invitations and I thought, these invitations are beautiful. Like, these are great. And the planner reveals that they had spent $8,000 on their invitations and several thousand more dollars on signage. And it really hit me that they pay for what they value. But
Hmm.
because we didn't convey the value of everything that we had accidentally committed to doing, they did not value that at all. They didn't try to pay. And I will say, if anything, they were kind of picky and complained, even though we were doing way more than we got paid for.
I feel like that is what happens. I mean, we always say this like you give them an inch, they take a mile. And you hate to say that because it sounds, I don't know, critical. But when I look back at the clients that have just been like, oh my goodness, you're such a headache. It's like when I offer to do this thing and I'm not charging them and it's like, oh, I'm just going to do it to be nice. Or like, oh, we just kind of have a little bond. And then they're the ones who become like, oh my goodness, so much. I just recently had this experience where I was like, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I forget what I said to be nice earlier.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And that was just a manifestation of what we already know, which is people who pay appreciate, and they can't appreciate it unless they understand the value of it. And as an industry, we haven't done a great job of conveying value. If anything, we are really good about showing like a list of it comes with this, and this. But they don't know what that means. Couples, they just don't know. Like we talked about earlier, they're walking in with their Pinterest board that's AI generated and not even humanly possible. And because they're getting these little whispers from TikTok saying that there's a wedding tax, they're just assuming they're saying this, right? That
Yeah.
we're getting scammed and people are charging us a wedding tax because it's a wedding. But the reality is they just don't understand the scope of work or what the value of that scope of work is. And we're caught in that gap right now.
Listeners who are like, wait, what's TikTok? Tell us what TikTok is saying about the wedding tax because this is a good one.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I do not encourage people to go down this rabbit hole because it can be very discouraging. But I've definitely seen lots of those where there's a number of videos I've seen that just start off as, well, we all know the wedding industry is a scam. And that's that shock and awe factor they're trying to get to make people watch, but it's working and it's viral and it's contagious. And I've seen it trickle down to Facebook groups where they say, hey, I want to do this, and this. Is the wedding tax real? And then all the comments go, it's absolutely real. When you go inquire for a venue, tell them it's for a birthday party instead, which we know is a drastically different service level. Or when you go to
Yes.
alterations, tell them it's a prom dress instead of a bridal gown. Like, you wouldn't know.
Because we have seen that too, because they don't want to fill out the bridal inquiry. So they're trying to fill out a bridesmaid inquiry. And I'm like, girl, please,
Ooh, we're
Yes.
going to know. We're going to.
Yeah. So then how do you move past that, I guess? So if a client's coming in with that mindset, what do you do to just start off on the right foot? Because I feel like even just listening, I'm already feeling angsty, like, oh my goodness, like I'm just going to be defensive when they come in? So tell us how
Yeah.
to move past that to just reestablish trust and start off on the right foot with these clients.
Yeah, yeah. And yes, we cannot live in that space of what could go wrong. We have to embrace, like, well, what could also be good? What could also be great? And double down on what does make us great. Now, there is certainly an opportunity that most of us are sleeping on. And I don't think it's just related to like trying to churn out constant short form content or anything like that. But we do have to acknowledge that I think it's Zola that says at least 1 in 5 couples is already planning their wedding before they're even engaged. And so, what we're showing couples upstream of them actually booking our services, I think really, really matters. And they're saying it constantly. They're saying, we want transparency. We commented on a viral reel about transparent pricing weeks ago, and I think it's up to over 5,000 likes on this comment by brides. And all we said was that pricing transparency should be required. and it's gotten 5,000 likes just as a comment on a video that we didn't even post, and have countless screenshots where they're just like, I want to know the cost. And they want to know the cost because they don't have any context.
Right. Yeah.
They
I
don't know
think,
what else to ask. So that's why they're asking for the cost first. It's up to us to say, hey, here's where you are. Here's what you need to know to make decisions. And maybe here's some levels of pricing and services so that couples can start to identify with what they're looking for. You know, your
yes.
top
Yeah.
level, all the things, all the bells and whistles. The type of person who wants that has to know that they're going to be in this price range depending on their choices. The person who just wants the basics, this is like the minimum to get an example and then something in the middle.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
that form of transparency.
I think there's like a fear. Some people have a fear of putting prices on your website because I feel like for alterations, for what we do, there's just so many nuances to what we do. So it's kind of hard to just be like, this is how much a hem costs, this is how much a bezel
Yeah.
costs. But I personally have just like different brackets of like where typical alterations could fall under so that, like, okay, if you want your alterations to be under $700, this isn't going to work for you. But so at least they get that straight out the gate when they go to the website. Then they know if they have customization, it's going to run up this amount, whatever, as opposed to just kind of blindly filling out an inquiry. And I think too, it's saving you time as a business owner because you're not having to say, waste your time responding to all the invoices of these tire kickers who they don't have any intention to book with you if you're not going to fit in their budget. So I guess the part that I'm kind of stuck on from a seamstress perspective is it is so hard to give a clear price quote until we get the bride in the door. And sometimes we don't want the bride in the door if we kind of know they're not going to want to pay. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So that's like its own conversation. But how else can we be transparent beyond just the pricing? And what other areas are couples feeling like they've been hoodwinked or like they're not set up for success beyond pricing? Because we know there's like so many details that they could feel manipulated by.
Oh gosh, for sure. And I'm just imagining like I have a daughter who's Gen Z, and I just think about the fact that she will be happy to pay double the price to have her Panda Express door dashed because she values convenience, right? So when we dial into like who are the clients we love to work with, what do they value? And then our entire online presence from our social media to our actual pricing pages, we have a chance to nurture and educate, but also maybe exacerbate the pain just a little bit so they understand what you're getting as relief from the pain. You're not just getting this stitching or this hem or whatever. You are able to dance the night away without ripping your dress. Is that something that you want? Okay, then you probably want this package that is between this price range because this is that guarantee. Right. So I think that when we start to attach the outcome they want to various packages and price ranges, then they can start to self identify. But usually, if they've seen something else before, then they've been warmed up, right? They're kind of working, it's all still a funnel, right? All marketing
Right.
is still a funnel. But yeah, we have to make our entire online experience from videos to maybe blogs because it works alongside your SEO for what people are searching for, and then just start giving them that context like why do you need these things, the education they need so that they're listening to you and see you as the expert rather than such and such's friend who got married last year and she's the one who says the wedding tax is real.
Yes.
Be the expert. Yeah, like be the person they see as the expert.
Yeah, because I think too, when I'm hosting fittings, pinning the bride, and oftentimes her mom or a friend will be like, so how long does a dress take to alter? I'm thinking, okay, these are the questions that I could just put out on social media before they even come in for an appointment. You know what I mean?
That's your whole content plan. Answer the questions people are already asking.
Yes, because they don't know. And so when I say like, oh, it could be, 6 to 12 hours, 12 hours, it's like, yeah, because taking the dress apart is really the longest part of the process. I think people just think that we just like zip it through a sewing machine. It takes 20 minutes, but it's like the meticulous like unstitching and taking the gown apart and like that I feel like is the big time crunch. So I'm thinking, okay, what can I just get ahead of? And those are the kind of things I can get ahead of is like the time or the skill set that you're paying for or the attention. Because we know the reason why there is whatever a wedding tax is because of the stress that's involved. Because if the ball is dropped, it is the end of the world. It is. You know what I mean? Like
They don't just get to order a new dress.
right. And it's like with your venue, if there's something missed or if there's something that they signed for that isn't available at your venue, they're not going to care if it's a birthday party, but they're going to care if it's the wedding, you know? So, how do we communicate that? That's what I want brides to know is like, if this doesn't turn out the way that you want, or if something gets lost or whatever, it's like you're going to blow a, what is it? Blow a
Blow a gasket.
sure, yes. I'm like, not blow it up. That was like the second saying that I
You're on
messed
your
up.
engine analogies today.
So how do we convey that? Because that's what I want couples to know.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We have to just be reminded that even though what we're seeing are line items on an invoice and supply orders and all those things, what we're doing and why our services are so valuable is because we're shielding them from all of that. So, although a lot of us business owners, we do have to be logical to survive, couples are not buying with the logic part of their brain. They are really honed in on the emotional side of the wedding. And we really need to meet them where they are, meet them exactly with what they're thinking in their head thoughts. Because, I mean, honestly, I feel like the bridal wear is one of the most emotional parts of it, right? And to just dial in to talk to them about how they want to feel, or they want to be able to actually sit down and enjoy their meal. And that's part of the fit. You start getting into just that full emotion and what it means for them, and remember that they're buying with their emotion and then justifying with logic. That's what I think separates business owners from businesses that are really good at marketing and building trust through their marketing, is capitalizing on meeting couples where they are emotionally and then backing it up with the logic that they need to write or to sign the invoice.
Yeah. And so if listeners are thinking, okay, how do I know where they are emotionally?
We have such a unique advantage that we get to talk to them. We are actually talking to our couples. For you, it would be what are the actual words they're using at a fitting. For me, it's what are the words they're saying at a tour, and like actually noting those down. And you can ask things on your form before they book an appointment. I ask them things like, what's really important to you about the wedding day? Nobody wants to fill out a 10-page questionnaire, but your questionnaires discovery. And if you get their real words, well, shoot, now we have AI. We could just dump all of those in there and it can tell us what are the questions people are asking. And then we build our marketing and our website and our whole booking journey around the real questions they have. And that just positions you as an expert.
All right, so that makes sense that as you're even just meeting them, or as we would meet our clients, like with these inquiries, I feel like the way that they answer the questions can sometimes be a red flag too. Like if they're giving me like paragraphs long descriptions of their dresses, I'm like, I don't know if we're the right fit. Or like so many concerns, it's like, okay, I don't know if I want to work with you. But I think on the opposite end of the spectrum, on one end, we have these clients who really want to work with us and they're almost over explaining and they seem really intense. And I'm getting these red flags like, I don't really think I want to work with you. On the opposite end, there are these clients who just fill out inquiries, they have all these questions, and then they ghost you. It doesn't really matter because we're like booked out. So it's like, okay, if you ghost us, the next person's going to come along. But for listeners who are building their business and they're feeling like every lead counts, and when they're experiencing these looky-loos, for lack of a better term, which I know every generation we've had these, but I've heard that with these younger couples, it's becoming more frequent. What do you have to say to that piece of just building that relationship or even changing our mindset when it comes to the ghosting?
This is really good because, like you said, even if you are booked out, the inquiries are still time consuming. It can be so disheartening to spend time with people. And us as venues, think about it. Everyone who comes to do a tour, we've given them an hour of our
Yes.
time. And so there's a full hour that we spent getting to know them. And so this is something I dial in a lot, and what it looks like in my experience specifically. And I am not a AI or tech salesperson who's like going to sell you a tool. I'm the person who typically says, okay, what decisions are they making? What do they need to know and understand before you actually meet with them? And how can we use our online presence to pre-qualify them, to pre-sell them, and to position you as the only obvious solution before you ever talk to them. And part of that is weeding out the wrong people. So, an example would be a very clear scope of work. So, if it comes with one consultation, one additional check in or something like that, and then the final fitting, if they are super clear on that in advance, and then you have a little note maybe that says additional such and such is $100 per hour. That's what I do. I say extra tours are $100 per hour. Well, guess what? Now people know they don't get another tour. I never
Right.
charge people, but it keeps them from asking, right? So we
Hmm.
pre-answer questions, we pre-qualify them, and that is going to weed out the people who want unlimited access to you for the year before their wedding, right? So setting
Yeah.
some super clear expectations is one of the most underrated part of the sales process, I feel like, and can keep some of those people out of your inbox so that the ones who do make it that far understand that they're taking your valuable time, that they get one consultation or whatever that looks like. So I would say clear expectations and finding little nuanced things that make your ideal couples want to move forward and make the ones who are never going to book exit the conversation.
Yes, I know, and not be afraid of that part. We've talked about this a lot within our membership where it's like you should have a brand that lights up a specific client and turns off a different client because that means that you have a strong brand presence. I think as wedding industry pros, we are people pleasers, and so that can be kind of hard to navigate. Like, okay, there are going to be some people who don't want to work with us because we're not their cup of tea, but that just means that you're doing it right, that you have that strong presence, and hopefully that'll help eliminate just the time that you're putting into these couples that are just going to eventually walk away. You don't need to reinvent the wheel or reinvent your personality every time a client inquires.
It's so true. It's so true. And be willing to like back it up. How many times does someone say, "Oh, well, can I just come on the weekend or can I just come here, come in there?" If you start saying yes early on, well, they're going to keep expecting that later on. And I feel like that's why we get really caught in that trap of bending over backwards. It's because we accidentally did it to get the booking and then they are expecting that beyond that and we miss it because we're so nice.
Right.
So
Yes.
nice.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. I know. I feel like that is such a bulk of my coaching conversations is like the guilt that comes with setting boundaries because yeah, it comes from a place of wanting to help or like, oh, I really don't want to inconvenience them. So it's like, yeah, if they can come on a Saturday morning, I'll just get my kids out of the house and it'll be fine. The fitting will be like what, 30 minutes. It's not that big of a deal. But then that leads to, like you said, that expectation that clients have that you're going to do the same thing next time. And I feel like no matter where you are in your business, you still are learning. Like I just recently had a
Yeah.
client. I mean, she's darling, like very, very sweet. She has three outfits. And typically, I have a pretty strict timeline of when I start seeing clients, even if they have multiple gowns, because it's like it keeps us on track. The workload's predictable. I know when the first fitting's going to be, when the final pickup's going to be. Well, she wanted to consider a partial redesign for a dress. So, anyway, she ended up coming in 6 months earlier than I would have ever wanted to see her. But I thought, okay, I'll charge her for the consultation and then she'll just kind of have that peace of mind and then I'll see her again. Well, then I feel like that just opened up the can of worms because and it wasn't anything like exorbitant, but it was enough to be like, this is not how I normally run things. And
Mm.
because of that, because she just kind of stuck out as like an additional time commitment or I don't know, it just became more and more annoying to me. So, and I just regretted that first step of like letting her come in, 6 months early instead of being like, you know what, I love your vision. It's going to be completed, but we're going to stick with the original timeline because that's just how we make sure everybody stays on track and da da da. So we said this earlier, you give an inch, they take a mile. And it's not like they're maliciously taking the mile. It's like they cannot help it.
They don't know any better. They've never done this before. They don't know any better. And a lot of times it's they're looking for some form of certainty. Of course, there are exceptions, but when we are crystal clear on, okay, this happens here, here's what happens now, that gave them what they needed. A lot of times, let them know, okay. So, for example, for us, it would be like we make your mood board 5 to 6 months before the wedding if we're doing your setup. And I'll just say, because if we do it 18 months out, you could completely change your mind.
Yeah.
So we're
Totally.
going to do it then. And then here's what happens after. And they go, okay, that's great. I'm so glad.
Yeah. And I think if we can tap into their annoying habits or whatever, come from a place of fear. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
Hmm.
we do have these, whether they're boundaries that we're establishing to protect ourselves and to protect the clients, or, we want to really clarify our communication. It needs to come from the same place of compassion because we don't want somebody to show up being like scared and fearful and thinking that they're going to get taken advantage of, or their dress won't be completed in time, or like their venue is going to be a mess, or whatever the fears that come with owning a venue. But just thinking of them, as you had already said, it's their first time doing this for most of them. They don't know what the expectation should be. And so that's where we can meet them, in that place, instead of a place of defensiveness or we're working with these manipulative couples. Often that's not the case. We've had so many really good conversations lately within our membership of just how do we make it better? How do we make this even cleaner and easier for our clients? And the conversation always goes back to that place of compassion, meeting them in the fear that they're in, whether it's like fear for blowing their budget, or they're not going to be able to eat in their dress, or it's not going to be completed in time. So that way, when we're reading these like weird emails, like sometimes I get these weird requests where I'm like, I think the one that annoys me the most is when I get an inquiry and, they're going to be on a rush timeline. So we approve the workload to make sure like we can accommodate, and then they get the email workflow that's triggered. And so it's only when the work is approved that they get to move forward. And then they send an email, are you sure this is going to get done in time? And I'm like, yeah, otherwise I wouldn't have said yes. So that was a waste of an
Ooh,
email.
yes, yes.
But they're like, okay, well, her website says that I need 14 to 16 weeks, but this is going to be 8 weeks. I know there's a rush fee, but will they even be able to get it done? And so what I know is, yeah, we're going to switch some schedules around. We're going to have so and so work a little bit later to get the dress done, but it's going to get done, and there's going to be a rush fee to cover it and whatever. So instead of feeling annoyed that I have to send another email response, yes, of course your dress is going to be done. It's like, meet them where they're at in that fear of like literally their gown won't be done in time and they're going to be stuck. There's probably very wild imaginative fears out there that we're trying to address.
Oh gosh, yeah, yeah. I mean, we have to remember that they're losing sleep over this. And we see our small part. I see the venue, I see the table set up and all that. You see the dress. But man, there are a thousand moving parts for them and they don't know what they're doing. And so there genuinely is a lot of fear there. And part of, I think, what makes a wedding vendor a really good vendor is that we do well at installing that trust. And it starts so early, way before we ever even realize. And that's again, it's just more and more opportunity. And I think honestly, trust is the antidote to a good chunk of the challenges that we're seeing with the wedding tax and the weddings are a scam rhetoric. I like Brene Brown's analogy she gives. This is one she uses with her kids when they talk about what is a good friend. I think it applies like what is a good wedding vendor. She uses an analogy about a marble jar and she says, trust is like a marble jar. Every time someone builds trust or takes an action that instills trust, it adds a marble to the marble jar. And trust is built one marble at a time. And in friendship, it looks like asking how your day was, or remembering your birthday, or keeping a secret for you. And in a vendor client relationship, it looks like being transparent, setting expectations, responding in a timely manner, those type of things. And the more we can build trust, it doesn't have to look like a personal relationship. It can still stay professional, but there is a opportunity to build a more professional trust and fill up that marble jar.
Yeah.
And then that deters a lot of our downstream issues.
Wow, that is so good. I love that. I want to get like a little marble jar for my shop. That's like my own visual. Ooh, because I feel like the emails that come through that aren't part of my automations, the little ones that, oh, I need to reschedule my appointment that's like a month out, or those are the ones that get like lost because it's not an automatic thing. And so I'm like, okay, we need to get better at those. Yeah, that hit me where I'm like, oh, that's a piece of trust. But all those little steps along the way, or another one for seamstresses listening, I don't know how you send your invoices, but this has been a topic that's come up with our membership, is making sure the final invoice, whether you split them up or whatever, is sent out weeks in advance, not like the week before pickup, because that also is like, so all of these little things, you could make a list. I'm even thinking of coaches that I work with, or I went to the dentist. I found a new dentist and I was so nervous, and the trust that they built with me was very solid. Okay, I can't wait to go back. December 8th is my next cleaning, and I'm really excited about it. But like when you just experience customer service or professional appointments, clock what means something to you. Like what is building that trust for you, and then how do you translate that for your own clients?
Yeah, that's so true. It's funny that you mentioned dentists because you may be the first person I've ever heard say they're excited to go back for their next
I'll
cleaning.
tell you why, because they gave me laughing gas. So I was like, oh,
There
sign
you
me
go.
up.
You had a party.
Well, now this is total rabbit trail, but I had a dentist for like years and years, and then he retired, and then I found somebody else, did not like them at all. And then I was like afraid to find the next person. And, one of my girlfriends recommended this newer office, and I'm like, okay, we'll see. And I was nervous, and also I'm cavity free. Okay. So I was like, I don't want to have a cavity at age 39 for the first time. And I was scared that was going to happen. And I was just like sweaty getting in there. And like the first person I encountered, she talked very slowly and calmly. She knew that I was anxious. She gave me a blanket. Okay. She's like, would you like a blanket? Okay. She talked me through everything that was going to happen. So there was no surprises that came up. Like it wasn't like, what are you going to put in my mouth now? I hate that feeling of like, ugh. So everything was talked through in advance. And then she was like, so we do have, I forget what the official name for the laughing gas is. And I'm like, I don't think I need a laughing gas. And I was like, I have to go back to work after this. I can't like be on drugs. And she's like, oh, it filters through your system. Have you ever experienced that? Does your dentist do that for you?
Yes, I never tried to get it until I realized I'm really nervous about this procedure and then having it going, okay, there's no going back now. But
Yeah.
how amazing is that those little nuanced details are such learning opportunities for us,
Yes.
right? Like you remembered that and you are going to refer them because you
Oh, yeah.
know all of your brides are
And
going to
he
have
had an
friends.
anxiety dog. Okay, they had a dog in the office. So the dog came out and like put his little head on my lap. And I was like, does he know when people are anxious? And the dentist was like, yes. I'm like, oh. So I am sold. I cannot wait to go back. And mind you, I had to book out 7 months in advance. Okay, so they are like full. But when I was there, it was like I didn't feel like I was being rushed through the appointment. It's like they had all the time in the world for me. And it was great. So that marble jar is full from my dentist. So I'm going to take those little things and put it in my own business. Yeah.
And I can see that just especially from a referral pipeline as you become established and you don't want to have to market super hard. I love to build things that you build them once and they keep working for you, like your website, any videos, educational content that you can reuse, your
Yeah.
reviews. They just continue adding more marbles into that jar. And I actually had a similar experience with an emergency room of all places. I found a very, very good and very, very lackluster experience was when my appendix decided that it wanted to vacate my body and I had to go to the emergency room. I went to a place called Hospitality ER and they stand by it so hardcore with your entire experience from the blankets to the comfort level and the way they talk to you and check on you and how fast they are, all these things that were so amazing. But I had to get transferred to the regular hospital. And then I remember walking in that regular hospital and they looked up at me like, ugh, why are you here? Like I felt like I had a major downgrade. And to this day, I would be like, oh, if you ever have to go to the ER, make sure you go to hospitality because they even came back to the hospital to check on me later after the fact. I was recovering from surgery and the ER rep came and brought me a gift to the hospital and asked me how I was doing. When I tell you those surprise and delight moments can
Yeah.
make a business, and one of the most trust building things that exist is that referral,
Yeah.
right? When
Yes.
someone else had a great experience, boom, free marketing.
Yes. Yeah. That's amazing. Oh, and how often do we like skip that step where it's like, okay, the dress is out of the shop. Okay, moving on. But like that follow up is so important too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I can only imagine you guys seeing the photos and just chiming in or sending them a DM and following them on Instagram or something. And later on just saying, I'm so glad you made that such and such alteration, or you did this bustle, or you did that because you were absolutely stunning. And I could tell you were having the time of your life. Like, just
Yes.
like a little note and then ask for a review.
Yes. Yeah. And by the way,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it. Okay, this is like such a great conversation. I feel like we hit so much in a short amount of time.
No, it's so fun.
So I know, Amber, that you're a coach specifically for venue owners, but seamstresses can still learn a lot from you. So where can we find you on social media, or yeah, where can we learn more about you?
Yeah, thank you so much. Absolutely. So definitely, I love to have a good time on social media. So I'm on Instagram at val.to.grow and on TikTok, if you dabble over there, at val to grow. So love to have a good time on social media, talk about what it's really like to be in the wedding industry. And I also help venue owners through my group coaching program called the Elite Venue Code, where we install these exact trust building and offer building skills into our venue businesses so that we can get more of the clients we love to work with and run a profitable and still sustainable wedding venue business as well. So my website is vow2grow.biz.
Okay. I like how you just got a thumbs up if anybody's watching on YouTube. I like, good job, Amber.
Oh,
Reverse side is like, you did good. Well, thank you. Okay, now I'm excited to go follow you on the TikToks. I'm trying to get better at TikTok. It's just a struggle bus.
it,
But we recently switched over to, I don't know if you've used NG. This is like our like third plug for NG. We like love it, and I feel like it's gonna be such a game changer for us. So we had an episode with Taylor a few weeks ago, but we've been trying to implement that, and now like I'm trying to, with my assistant, just get more consistent with the monthly content planning. So we're gonna get better, but NG is kind of where it's at.
it really is. And I already had some stuff working with like a VA, so I didn't specifically need NG right now, but I did do a test on it and found that doing like a brain dump into the AI blog creator
Yes.
to get a blog generated and then it created content from that. I was
Yeah.
like, wow, this is such a game changer. I just haven't quite made it that far yet
Yeah.
to implementing in the
So,
video.
Taylor, you're welcome. This is your second plug in like a
Yes,
month. We're
yes.
all very excited about this.
Big fan.
Okay, Amber, well, I'm so excited to like see you, I don't know, in the next wedding industry, I don't know, circle.
Yeah, yeah. Are you going to any of the WIPA National Conference or Wedding MBA?
Ooh, I spoke at MBA last year. I'm not going to go back this year. We have our own SBS retreat. It's too close, and I'm like, November needs to kind of be like my break time. But are you going to go to MBA?
Yeah, I have a booth. Yep.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, listeners, you know where to find her, and she's cool on TikTok, so let's get all the inspo. Thanks, Amber.
Yes, ma'am.